Okay. So I think we are very excited for the simple reason that we are completing the last session of this series where we started with understanding the right context of setting a goal and then taking the right way to uh, understand it, overcome the barriers. And now, once we have done all these preparation things, we want to actually start planning on the actions so that we are consistently working towards our goals step by step. Yeah. So if you went through the flyer, it says how to distinguish if your action is forced action or an inspired action. We have spoken about this in previous two sessions as well. Yeah, in brief, but uh, when we are talking about distinguishing the nature of the action, what we want to convey here is sometimes when we think about our goal and whatever information we already have from our environment, that gives us a lot of logical understanding of what we should be doing. Yeah. And with that logical understanding, when we plan our actions and we make an action plan, certain actions may not call us. For example, I was talking to a friend about business development, and the inputs that he was giving were very nice, but I was constantly feeling inside that this is not my way. Yeah. Or the other day, we were doing a constellation where one of the elements said that I have my own flow, which may not fit into other people's logic, but if I get that, my flow will have my own personal logic, which will flow for my life. So when we plan the actions, what I'm trying to say is go for all sort of actions that can be available to you, whether logical or illogical, so to say, or possible, impossible for you as of now. And then start filtering which calls you, which inspires you to do something. So that way you will know yourself as well, and you will know which action in that particular moment is an inspired action and which is not an inspired action at all for you, or at least now for you. That you can start distinguishing. And once you have distinguished that sort of thing, what I think Priya will also agree to this, that sometimes, as I'm sharing this example of this constellation where one element said, I need my time to find my flow. Now, if you find that about yourself, towards a particular goal, you need certain time, then you will have realistic expectations in the terms of actions, in the terms of results. Just because your friend or colleague is achieving a certain amount of goal within a given period of time, you will feel that no, that's not how I need to measure my progress. So you will become more connected to your reality. You will be able to give yourself that breather where you need time to figure out certain things. So if you notice what we said in the first session, understanding whether the goal is coming from a healthy context, to understanding whether an action is an inspired action and how much time you need to figure that out. This is all about your self growth. And when we allow that, sometimes life has the most effortless path for us, which is available, but we are not able to see. So we may tap into it. And that is what is called as being into zone of abundance. Because whatever is my core, if I'm connected to that, I will function effortless. and the most appropriate results will keep showing. So this journey can take us to that level, and it may vary for us for different goals, or it may be different for us than other people. Yeah. Am I right, Priya? You want to add anything? Unmute yourself.
Perfectly in sync. This is exactly what we want to convey. And I would just, add to a way in which we talk about inspired and forced goals is that, for example, some people like towards making targets around, suppose I take money, for example. They like to work around making targets for money and then breaking it down. And then, the logical way of goal setting is that, right? So you have a goal and then you break it down into smaller goals and then you set a timeline for it and then there's an action around it. But for some people, that is not necessarily the way to do it. For them, it's more like go with the flow, see how it feels. I want to do more of what feels good to me. And this takes me back to the conversation that Helena had asked about goals around being and not around doing. Right? So maybe for a person who has goals around being, for them, inspired action comes from the way they are and the way they feel. Yeah. So that's the way they function. And for some people, if they get something, then they feel a particular way. And that is right for them. So it's like that. So I think that's what Gayatri is trying to convey when she says, or when we are trying to say that goal setting and actions are very, very personalized to the person. Like one doesn't work for all, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And in the time of figuring out what is your way, what is your core, or how you want to take it, if you find that there is a block, then we have worked on how to overcome the block, or we have worked on how to identify the block. So, these are the steps, like whatever 5 sessions we are talking about, they are not linear. You will keep going from 1 to 4 to 2 to 3 or 5. That's how the journey is going to be. And that's how you will keep learning new things about yourself. So see them as a set together, and whenever whatever is required, you can continue to follow that for yourself. And that is how you will know how good you're feeling about your action plan. Yeah. Because when we plan the actions, we are going to put our logic and we are going to analyze, and that is required, very much necessary. And when we want to act logically. But the context behind the action, we want something that inspires us. So we want to take our subconscious guidance to start the action. But when we put that into the physical reality, there is going to be logic. Right? Just because I feel too inspired to call somebody, I'm not going to call them at 12 in the night, because that might disturb them. Or if they are busy, I'm not going to constantly try to call them or get in touch with them. So we are going to apply both the things. So first thing that we want you to do is, whatever goal you have decided for yourself, make the list of all the possible actions, whether possible for you today, impossible for you today, and you can keep on adding new actions to that plan. Because what you can see today could be limited, but when you start walking on that path, you will find more actions because there will be more information. Yeah. And when you have the actions set ready with you and you have filtered how many are inspired actions and how many are forced actions for you. Maybe you can keep the forced actions aside for a while. We don't want you to discard them. But you can start with the inspired action and divide them in a simple 3 categories. Now, what we are going to share here comes from the knowledge of mental banking, which is part of the hypnotherapy curriculum, but we want to simplify that for everybody. Those who are interested can find the detailed coaching video of mental banking on YouTube. We would recommend that because that really, really works. But we want to make things simple for everyone here. So once you have the set of inspired actions ready with you, divide them in 3 categories. First category is the minimum, bare minimum action that you need to take. That is a simple action. The simple action needs to be at least one step outside of your comfort zone. So if I want to maintain a fitness which is not there today, I can't just continue doing what I'm doing for my fitness. I need to do one step extra. Yeah, something like that. But then because it is the bare minimum and I might need to do that, let's say every day or 5 days a week, 6 days a week. So that becomes more of a regular action. One small step, one small drop in the ocean. Those kind of actions are going to be the bare minimum or basic actions. And then there will be the next set of inspired action, which can give you a bigger result, but you can't do them every day or every now and then. So again, if I talk about the fitness level, maybe I can measure my fitness level by participating in certain activities, which I can't do every day. I can run a marathon once or twice a year, or at the most once in every 3-4 months. Yeah. Or maybe I can go to different degrees of difficulty kind of hikes to know my fitness level, is it improving or not improving. So I can do that once a month. So whatever more actions I'm taking towards my fitness, if they are showing up any result, I'll know that when I go for a hike. So something like that. So that will give me, and also when I'm planning to do that, I'll put more effort on my fitness. So I'll act more towards that during that time, right? So that is in mental banking language, it is called as bonus event. Here we call it, let's say, an advanced action. So one is basic or bare minimum, then advanced, and then something which seems like a next to impossible for you to do. So let's say for me, with this fitness, I may not think of going for Everest base camp today. But if I do that, then in the process, my fitness level is going to be much, much higher than what it is today. So in mental banking, we call it a jackpot event. Here we can call it maybe what? Priya? A jumbo action?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we want you to divide your actions in 3 categories. And when you make this distinction for yourself, start taking at least one action every day. You can start with the basic action first. But if you do at least one thing every day towards your goal, you know that you are taking one small step towards your goal. That means every day you're reaching somewhere about you. You're getting closer to your particular milestone. Yeah. And I think here is the part which we want you to do religiously. At the end of the day, when you sit down, and you go through your action plan and you see that you did one thing or you did 2-3 things about your goal that day, write a letter of appreciation to yourself. Say something nice to your own self. You can either say it verbally right before you go to sleep, or you write it, read it to yourself before you go to sleep, and focus on how you feel when you think about doing those 2 to 3 things that day. Because that good feeling with which you are going to sleep is going to inspire you further to act on your actions towards your goal effortlessly. Now, here, some action which may not feel inspired action. Remember, I said that you can segregate the actions. So the forced actions, don't discard them as yet. Maybe after a month, you may find 1 or 2 actions from that category. You now feel that they are an inspired action. Yeah, they may change. Like when I didn't know much about investment or saving money, putting any small amount of money aside would feel a burden to me or unnecessary thing to me, or at least impossible. I was never inspired to do that. But when I overcome certain barriers about saving or managing money, I think saving money became an inspired action for me. So after a while, when you shift or you go ahead in your action plan, certain actions from the forced action category may become inspired actions for you. So maybe every 21 days, you can sit and do this planning once again, because you may have new information. Based on that, you may have new set of actions coming to you. So every 21 days, you may keep, adding or removing certain actions from your plan. You can add action at any point of time. There is no rule of 21 days. But once you add an action to your plan, follow it minimum for 21 days and then remove it if you need to. Yeah. And with this, I can assure that you will achieve your goal. Because what I'm talking about, the mental banking thing, we are simplifying, but I have followed mental banking very, very religiously, almost for 3 years. And I achieved my goal exactly the way I had planned. So I know this will work. So I think that's what we have to share with you. Priya, you want to add anything here?
Nothing about the process of doing this, but something about, why is it necessary to do something like this? Why is it necessary to do something for 21 days or on a consistent basis? So, with the earlier exercise on where we, worked on the limiting beliefs, and we worked on understanding what are the things that we are carrying from people, and, cutting down the energy leaks towards our goal. Somewhere we have to create a new neural pathway to the brain, for the brain. And that requires a consistency. So, this exercise is like, reiterating to the brain again and again. It's a muscle that you're building. It's a muscle that whatever you've got as a feeling, whatever you've got back as, a resource from the meditation or the earlier exercises, from there you build this muscle of achieving your goal with the action. So it's like, telling your brain, oh, you did this, good. And the next day, and the next day, and the next day. So if anyone has a question around, okay, we have done the meditation or we have done the process, We have done the energetic process. So why is it that we should be doing this? So even in therapy work, it is said that there is some kind of homework that you need if you want to create a new reality. So it's important to understand that consistency is necessary in some areas, in all areas, but in some areas which require more effort and conscious effort, so that we don't go back to the old ways of being. Yeah. So that's the premise on which I think mental banking is also taught or done. And that is the premise on which we want to give this at the end of the goal setting exercise. Let it be known in the conscious mind that these are the conscious actions, of course, not forced, but conscious actions that I'm taking in my everyday to reach and feel wherever I want to reach or feel. And I would like to add as a kind of a small disclaimer that it's not about beating yourself if you don't do anything inspiring on any day. There could be days that you don't feel inspired to do anything towards your goal. But the very thought that, oh, I didn't do something today, meaning you're thinking in that direction. So it's okay even if you write a letter of appreciation saying that I know that I have it on my mind. And I will do something tomorrow. Because I know those days when you don't feel like, doing anything in a particular way, and maybe you will have nothing to write on that day. Yeah. So any kind of being has to be followed by a kind of an action, a doing towards that space. And this is one easy method, effortless method to go in that direction, I feel. That's it.
Yeah, I think we are done from our end. So before we go for sharing or any questions, can stop the recording.